And then there was one. The 2025 season reaches its climax as there's just one league left to crown a champion on this week's episode of the Indie Ball Report podcast. We're back, episode number 341, the real bathtub gin of podcasts, in the sense of it'll make you go deaf and blind. How you doing, Ryan?
I'm good, chilling, living life. It's been a busy week, man, with playoffs and playoffs wrapping up.
I was going to say, do you feel like a champion?
No, almost never.
So you feel almost like, say, one of the three teams that have already been eliminated from their championship game.
Yeah, I mean, in rapid succession, friend. That was chaos.
I know. Really, Sunday night was just the peak of baseball. And I suppose we'll get started by talking about these championships. And as much as I do want to get to that Sunday night, because Schaumburg Quebec put on a hell of a show. And then even the Oakland game it got a little lopsided towards the end there, but it was still a good showing there. Really, the series itself was a good showing. But I feel like the natural starting point is the league that wrapped up first in the American Association.
Mm-hmm.
Because we got three really great series, and the American Association got us started on the right note, right? We had a Kane County walk-off in Game 1. We had a close Sioux Falls win in Game 2. Sioux Falls puts them to the brink in Game 3. And then another walk-off for Game 4, and then Kane County in Game 5 was an extra inning winner, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, man. Took them to extras on that one and got the grand slam in the 10th, man. It was the American Association playoffs across the board were really good, which is a big deal because I was openly annoyed with their playoffs last year. Not annoyed with the actual playoffs, but I was this, it wasn't a very interesting start to the playoffs at the bare minimum. And frankly, didn't end very interesting either. And I was kind of this is what you get with a bad format. This would be a big counterpoint to my argument because it was good. There was a lot of drama, and a lot of it came from the winner, Kane County, who was below 500. So what do I know?
I will still defend a sub 500 league champion is the definition of losing recipes, but...
Oh, I agree. No, I am 100% with you there. I still don't like it, but I will say it was entertaining.
Oh, yeah, no, I mean, Kane County from the sixth inning on also kind of ran away with it. I mean, they outscored them 7-3. So, Grand Slam's doing a lot of work here.
Yes, it is.
But an elimination game, Jabari Henry did not show up, which is really the difference maker in this.
Again, it is entertaining. I'm not saying the best team won the championship.
I mean,
what?
I'm not disagreeing with you. I think the best team went out early, first round early. But
I agree. Which is why a 3-game series to start it is brutal. I would say if I had a big suggestion there, which I have many suggestions about the playoff format, you gotta cushion that top team more. I would say I would go the route of your 3 and your I don't know. If you I don't know, you need to give something to them. I'm not against the 1-game head start, if I'm honest. I'm not against it playing the thing of the bottom seed has to win. If you're the 2 or the 3, you get the advantage if you're the 2 seed of being home. I would say just getting home field advantage at least. And I would say if it's the 1 seed against the 4 seed, especially with how hot the 4 seed can often be, making a run in rather than falling back. I mean, I would say you only have to win 1 before the other team wins 2. You basically start with an advantage, which sounds gimmicky, but it's really not if you think about it. I mean, it's as if it's double elimination and you're meeting at the end and you already have a loss against you.
I don't inherently hate it, although there is something about not having a level playing field in the playoffs that is a little much, but it does add more weight to the regular season. Which
I'm huge on.
Yeah, and in a 100-game regular season, that should matter. And in a playoff format that sees 2/3 of the league get in, I do agree there should be more weight shifted onto the regular season there. Mm-hmm. What I will say is I do think, again, if you want to keep choosing your opponent, which you seem to be very happy with, and we don't want to cut down the number of teams in, which, I mean, it's hard to argue against it now that you have a sub 500 champion, as much as I have my thoughts on that. I would still very much encourage them to at least allow cross-division opponent choosing, right?
Mm-hmm.
At least let a team like, say, Sioux City get the chance to pick like Milwaukee or something there, to have those more unique matchups and to allow a little bit more going on there. You are still all part of the same league. This is not an NL, AL situation, although, again, that's basically, conferences at this stage. But
don't get me started.
Yeah, that's a different point.
Talk about losing recipes.
Really. But if we're going to call it the same league and you're going to allow to choose your opponent for it does at least bring some, I don't want to call it fairness, but it does level it a little bit more, right? Where you can't get away with just being the best in a shitty division now and eking in because you were the best of the worst, or saying, all right, our division's kind of dog shit. We don't really need to go all out here. We just need to kind of keep it in second gear here so that way we can get into the postseason and, be warm. You don't got to be hot. You got to be warm.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, now it's like, okay, so we're going to do this. Like, honestly, I think I could summarize the whole thing a little bit cleaner with just, I'm fine with the choose your opponent format, but can we just go to a one division setup instead? If you want to keep regional scheduling, I'm cool with that. But just one division, I think if you're going to do choose your opponent, is a little bit better because then it kind of takes away letting in the lesser teams.
Are we sidebarring to a playoff format conversation right this moment?
I'm tempted to do it.
All right, let's detour because it is relevant that there's been rumors of playoff format change in the Atlantic League coming, which, they'd be leagued to do it because they do seem to have two divisions and they already have schedules announced. But the rumor now that we're getting, which has been substantiated by a few sources on my end that are, in a position to know around baseball operations departments, is that next year it's expected to be, might not be official yet, but it's expected to be one division in the Atlantic League.
No.
Top 4 teams go to the playoffs.
I like.
So far, so good. There is a bit of an argument to be made on lack of drama. Like I like it if there's a reward for being the winner of the regular season. You know what I mean? So yeah. I don't know what that is other than just, clinching home field advantage for the whole playoffs, I guess. But, however, one problem, you might be thinking to yourself, wait a minute, but they already announced the schedule. My friend, they are not planning to balance the schedule. So you'll still play a geographic schedule, including the hyper focus on your local rivalry, which means, yes, I believe York will play Hagerstown probably 20 times while Gastonia and High Point are playing each other 20 times. And they will be in the same division race. So that's unfortunate. And I call it Hagerstown there because, famously, York has just hung numbers on that team for, like, Hagerstown's win percentage has been really sad lately, but, like, York is doing things that are, like, I question whether they have an inside source. Like, it's ridiculous, the numbers they've hung on Hagerstown.
So here's the thing, right? I still don't inherently hate an unbalanced schedule like that. And it's less from a baseball perspective, because it's hard to justify from that angle, and more from you would rather see the local teams play each other and build up a rivalry and build more of an atmosphere around it than you would have a balanced schedule from a business and ticket selling perspective, which, given the issues with attendance that we've seen, might be the way you want to prioritize things.
True. I'm trying to think if I have anything else on this that's interesting. I guess I will go back to my main point, which is just if you are going to do an unbalanced schedule, you just have to have parity, and that's not what the Atlantic League, I felt like, had less parity this year than any year prior. That had been covering it. Every year you're going to have a disastrous team. But if you look at the breakdown, it was just kind of lopsided when it came to, it was York, Lancaster, Long Island, and the rest. It was High Point, Gastonia. And I guess Southern Maryland did win as many games as them, and Lexington won close to that. But if you're honest about Southern Maryland, Lexington, we're not High Point or Gastonia. And I'm afraid that's going to continue to trend that way. I feel like Lexington overperformed. I feel like Southern Maryland might have overperformed as well. And I'm worried about the trajectory there. I think Staten Island's due for a really bad season. I just think it's going to be rough, and it's going to come down to who has more teams they can beat up on. And I don't know. I mean, we saw it in the Pioneer League. We just saw the issue with an unbalanced schedule in the Pioneer League.
I will counter with one point before getting back onto the actual, baseball discussion.
Sure.
We also saw it to a different degree an unbalanced schedule in the Frontier League, where you played your own little thing, and then you won your division, you got in, and then you had 2 wild cards for each half. I understand it's not one division setup, so it's not exactly 1 for 1, but it kind of sorted itself out.
Yeah, I didn't like it necessarily. It did sort itself out, but we've all seen it not. Though the Frontier League does seem to work out in the traditional way more often. I think part of that's because of the wild card that they've done in prior years. I think, I guess to simplify my thoughts on some of this, it would be, if we're addressing the Frontier League real quick, I think the Frontier League actually would still be better suited with their current model and unbalanced schedules as doing the way that like the World Cup does, where you're a group of 4 teams or whatever, and the top 2 are going. And then from there, the winner of the, I forget the damn division names in that league every time. What are we doing? The winner of the East Division plays the second place North Division team, and the first place North Division team plays the second place East Division team, and do it that way. And then the winners play for the Atlantic Conference Championship. I think that's clean. I think it's good. And you might argue, but I had a better record. It's like, well, then, but your division is important. And among your division, you mostly played a balanced schedule. So that's what it is. And frankly, if you're trying to argue you should have been in with a 3rd place finish in your division, I don't think it was your year anyway, Poppy. Like, that's it. Will that sneak in potentially a bad team as the 2nd place team in the division? Maybe, but for the most part, at least you're going to see. I mean, this year, the worst team who came in 2nd was 52-43. So that's the Frontier. The American, I don't know. I just want the American. I know that every league does it, so I'm picking on them, and I shouldn't be. I hate the 3-game series. I want everyone to get out for the business of a 3-game series. Yet I understand
a 1-game wild card winner take all instead.
I'm in favor of the 1-game wild card if it is only like for like the 3rd, like in the American Association where you're putting a lot of teams in. If you want to put a bunch of teams in and then make them play a 1-game play-in, kind of like the Frontier did before. Yeah. I didn't like that you could be still like a good team and get stuck in that. That was weird to me. But I do think if you're putting as many teams as the American Association is, I'm open to 1-game play-in, essentially. Like more a play-in game than a wild card game, in my opinion. I'm okay with that. And then that also sets your pitching back a game. And then it leans more toward giving that advantage. If you're doing a 3-game series, then now I'm back, because then you're going from, it is a 3-game series, but you've already burned a pitcher before you even get there. And then that top seed is rested and waiting for you. And I like that. But that's a different one. We'll have time to make our own playoff. Oh, I feel like it's a podcast every year, our own playoff formats. But
hell, I even have a video about this.
Yeah, I know you do. I love that from you.
Match.
And I'm ladder match. Yeah, so I think that's something to consider. I don't want to get too in the weeds. I don't want to take too much away from King County because they did show up when they had to. The Claudio Final just, 4 playoff home runs, hit almost 400 in the playoffs. He hit away from hitting 400. Handled his damn business, and that was really impressive for King County. He was, the one who hit the grand slam in the 10th inning. That will be considered clutch for sure. But yeah, we talked about this early. We talked about it, and by early I mean I think pre-show last week. But we were talking about how we were concerned about the way Sioux Falls was using pitching. And there was just a couple very, very questionable bullpen usage decisions. It's easier for me to sit here and say that considering,
how it ends,
how it ends and also not knowing what's up with everybody. Poor Tom Dorminey, him and Ryan Zimmerman both didn't deserve what happened.
Zimmerman really bad for.
Should never have sniffed the second inning of that game in relief. He came in the ninth, he delivered, and we were all like, oh my gosh. I mean, he threw a quick check. He threw 100.
He threw 21 innings in the postseason, and he threw in the regular season
he threw
89 and 2/3.
Right. He threw 77 pitches on the 18th. He came back 2 days later, pitched the ninth inning, and then they brought him back out. And that's where it all went sideways and gave up the grand slam. Dorminey came in, didn't have his best stuff, but he was fine. But like, it sucks being in that position after the year he had. Meanwhile, King County just had Connor Ash on deck and said, yeah, here's all this. He struggled, but still got out of it because he's Connor Ash, and that's kind of how it goes. But yeah, there were some decisions made on usage of pitchers that I just felt like from Sioux Falls. And that is not the only team, by the way, who's going to catch hands on that in this podcast. But I just don't know about how they went about that. And we talked about it. I think it's just King County had just been through this. They had just gone through the playoffs. They are comfortable. Sioux Falls has been off and on. And I think that kind of showed, in my opinion. I don't know, throwing Cole Lalonde on back-to-back games in game 4 was crazy to me.
I mean, I got to assume, right, that there was a decent amount of that staff that was too injured to pitch.
There had to be, but I think the guy you're thinking of did make an appearance in game 5. I'm trying to think.
You got to check here to see if we're thinking the same guy, because there's 2 guys I'm thinking of.
I'm thinking of Alvarado.
He was one of them, and the other guy I was thinking of was Richardson.
He did only throw a third inning, didn't look great, so who knows? But I get it. But at the same time, you're going to throw getting the save from Lalonde in the one game. I'm trying to remember how many pitches he threw. I thought it was a good number because it was a 2-inning save. He threw 28 pitches and bring him back the next night. I just don't think that was ever going to be the move. And I get it. You're short on options. It's a big game. You want your guy. But, 3 hits in 1 inning, gave up a run. It wasn't, it's just not what I think it's easy to pick here. I think some of the issues started as early as the end of the prior series when we were talking about how we wouldn't have used certain pitchers in game 5 of that set that were used. And from that position, it was kind of, it was a red flag a little bit. Like using Solter, Levine, it was just sort of like, okay, I guess we're doing that in an 11-2 game right now.
I mean, he builds up over time, really.
Yes, exactly.
All the same, I'm also appreciating the fact that game 5 was wrapped up in a tight 3 hours.
Yeah.
That's what you look for.
It's true. I've seen some games. It is funny how quickly we've adapted to these faster games. Because I've seen a couple of games where I'm like, this is dragging because they're kind of letting up on like some of the rules. And still, they're kind of coming out what we would consider quick a couple years ago.
Definitely. But overall, though, where do we put this final? Because some people comparing it to the Milwaukee and Fargo final from a couple years back, and I'm not quite sure I put up that high, but this was close.
Yeah, that Grand Slam does kind of get the people going, doesn't it?
It does, but I mean, what was that? 23 we had that.
That's what I'm trying to pull back to here. Yeah.
Well, it's not 23. It may have been 22.
See. Sorry, I got to stalk that one just for a quick reminder of what the other games look like other than the championship. Let's see.
Also with game 1 a blowout, game 2 kind of a blowout the other way, then blowout that way, then the close game 4.
Mm-hmm.
And then
that's part of it. Like I would say the York, like we'll talk about the Atlantic League, but like the York sweep over Lancaster just now was actually a very good series. Every game was down to it late. A good battle, comebacks, things like that. I'm not sure that it brought all of that to the table. You know, the last 3 games were really, well, no, they were pretty good games. I'm trying to remember now. Like there weren't really any of them that looked closer than they actually were. I mean, what's the run difference on this? Was it 0? It was a 1. I think it was 1.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was a pretty good series. I had fun. I mean, I watched every game to the very end. In fact, I missed things in other series because I was watching this one. When it came to the playoffs, I'm trying to remember that one. Sorry, at this point in time, I'm kind of.
We were the final we're comparing is 22, not 23.
Oh, I thought you said 23. All right, hold on.
Yeah, no, but then I corrected myself to 22.
I mean, that last game really does stand out as being incredible, but yeah, up until then, I mean, even the closest game other than that, which was game 4, it was pretty locked in, especially with how good the bullpen was. So Frankie Bartow was like chucking that game. It's all coming back to me now. And like the way he was rolling, we were like, Fargo might not be hitting them today. I mean, Fargo only got 5 hits the whole time in that 4th game. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's mostly off the back of that game 5. I do think this was a better game, a better series than that. Yeah, I'm remembering because again, the fact that that's the indicator right there. The fact that I couldn't remember anything that happened from that series other than game 5 is not a good sign.
But it's also
for
3
me
years
and the
removed.
series.
But it's also 3 years removed from it. If you go to 28, how much of this series do you remember?
It's a good question. I do think there were enough, moments, and there was enough drama where we'd remember it. I think. Especially looking at, the 3-run comeback in game 4, how Sioux Falls was, outs away here and then coughed it up and then coughed it up again the next day. I think that's part of the lore that will live on of this series. And then the drama, game 2 was drama because remember Sioux Falls was up and King County almost got them in the bottom of the 9th. And then the King County walked them off in game 1. So there's multiple walk-offs. I don't know, man. I think it was really good.
Yeah. I mean, I still put 22 ahead of it.
Everybody wants to be nostalgic.
We don't negotiate with stat boys.
Shut up.
A step removed from clankers.
Oh my god. What else we got? Anything else on the American Association? I mean, obviously,
I'm kind of all right to move on to Frontier discussion because I got more to say.
Frontier, let's do it.
Yeah, I've got a little bit more to say on Frontier, so I think I want to move on there. But overall, an up and down bit for the American Association on the season, but the final definitely delivered, and we'll go through and look back at each of the leagues at a later date there. But yes, Frontier League postseason. Game 1 was a Schaumburg blowout. Game 2 was a Quebec win. Game 3, Schaumburg put them on the ropes, and we were having that whole discussion as to, okay, is Quebec going to do it? They look real vulnerable. If they're going to, what's it going to be? And I think this is the first of like the real, what the hell are people thinking with the pitching matchups? Before we get to like an all-time classic in game 5, which, as you could probably tell, Quebec wins game 4. Game 5 is, I'm going to hit the brakes because I don't want to overstep myself here, but I'm very excited to talk about that. But we got to talk about the pitching in game 4 first.
Brother, I know, and I get the love for some of what Christian Johnson did at the end of his regular season, but his regular season ended 24 days before his next outing.
And
brother, what?
And you're putting him against this Quebec offense?
Yeah. Don't do that. That's not what we're doing here.
Here's the thing I don't understand. It's like
your pitching delivered the day before and they still scored 6 on you.
And the thing I don't get here is he gives up the 5. Okay, fine. And you yank him for the first inning. I understand you don't want to wave the white flag that early and just concede the fact, like, okay, we're going to a winner take all game. But like, you need to get some length here. Like, they did a good enough job after that, realistically only burning 2 other arms.
But my other thing is, was no one else. So, I mean, are you telling me nobody was available to throw more than in a game like that? You can, and I understand. All right, I'm of the philosophy you can't play for game 5 if you have a chance to win this thing in 4. So you have to say, we're burning everything and I'll figure it out tomorrow if I need to. I am blown away. Did you have no one available to throw more than 2 innings? Because that's what you need. 2 to 3, and then you can piggyback it with 2, and then it's 1-1-1-1-1, whoever can get out from there. Because after that, they pull in Christian Lopez. You can't just grab every
3 weeks.
You can't just grab every Christian you see, right? This isn't.
The Vikings took that personally.
Thank you. Exactly. You took you went there for me. I couldn't get the right reference. That wasn't going to offend a great deal of the listenership. And now when we're talking Christian Lopez, I understand that Christian Lopez moved slightly because he was obviously on this roster as the burn guy, right? His last several outings were 5 innings, 3 runs, 3 innings, 3 runs, 6 innings, 4 runs. And then that was 20 days before. But guys, okay. That part I get. If you're down that early, sure. But you then do kick yourself, and again, hindsight's 2020, because he did give up 3 earned, and then boy, with those 3 earned would have been nice, at a certain point in this one, because they almost came back in this. What a crazy game that was.
Yeah.
Like we're going to talk about how crazy game 5 was, but game 6, the fact that this was 8-0 in the second and then it was 8-6 in the third. Oh, okay.
Yeah, the 4 and the 9th really do skew it, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
going into the 9th there, I mean, that was a bit of a momentum shifter. Now, in fairness, too, here, like, I will also jump on Quebec here. I mean, going Golair to Chu was a dumb decision. They got smart with the element and then finished it off with Roland for 2 innings. Gutsy by Roland, by the way.
I think the philosophy was Chu looked really good in his first 2 appearances this series.
And he looked like crap before that.
Yeah, but there's sometimes you just have a matchup. Like, you know what I mean? But I think the problem was, I think he had trouble in New York and he had trouble with Tri-City because New York and Tri-City had seen him a bit. And I think, especially Tri-City, and I think that I'm not even sure if he had seen New York. He saw him earlier in the year, but that was about it. But I think they had him figured out, quick enough. But then I think showing him too often to Schaumburg was a recipe for disaster, in the same way that I think Schaumburg ran to that with their pitching staff against Quebec.
Mm.
It's almost like if you want a good series, don't have it be 3 games. What am I saying?
I don't
I understand the limitations. I know you got to do shorter series. I get that. Or just put less teams in the playoffs. But who am I?
I mean, it's not like they had that many in the postseason to begin with the Frontier, comparatively.
That was more or less to the American Association because I already ragged on them for the 3 games. I don't think the Frontier League has a fair argument to be putting necessarily a 3-game series together with no benefit for the team that won their division and had the best record in the league. Crazy. Lucky that Quebec doesn't care. Because they're sociopaths. These Canadians are acting like sociopaths. My big disappointment, the tough outing for Greg Duncan, by the way.
Oh, yes, the next game. So we're going to move on then to game 5.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Justin Gideon 3 for 6, too. Crawl 2 for 3. 4 runs scored. LeBrew showed the hell up. Dude,
this Quebec team had Schaumburg figured out. Like they were like understood. That gap between 3 and 4, something, a switch was flipped.
I just personally like how we went ahead and said the top part of this lineup isn't doing enough outside of like Crawl, and then the rest of the top part is like murder. People said what?
I mean, yeah, I mean those guys that were calling out proceed to get 7, 11, 13 hits in the last 2 games. Yeah. Average of 4 per guy. Like, what are we doing?
It's literally the meme of the top part of the slam dunk got hands. Damn, top part of that lamp got hands.
I mean, is there anything more like, yeah, that's Quebec, than them pulling after a tough outing? Actually, for his 4th time, by the way, coming into a game, he has had 2 bad outings in this championship. They've used him 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times already in the playoffs. putting Koagashi out there, and Koagashi is turning it out for 2 2/3 of an inning is really funny. Because he was the stud for the whole way, and they had a brutal playoff stretch. I think, again, maybe overexposed a little bit, maybe throwing too many innings, but he had one more in him. I'll tell you that much.
Yes. Game 5. Let's talk game 5 here. Quebec comes out of the gate strong, 4-1 after the second. Schaumburg ties this thing up in the 4th, takes a lead in the 6th, comes up the lead in the 7th because Quebec.
That's Quebec.
Yeah, and it was just kind of wild from there between LeBrew making one hell of a diving catch and just like back and forth by everybody here.
Some fielding issues.
Yeah.
Some chaos. That hurt. Yeah. That's not what you want.
What hurts more is like you look, first off, Schaumburg got 5 runs in this game. 2 of them were earned. Greg Duncan, his line looks worse than it is. He only allowed 1 earned run, and he struck out 5 in 4 1/3. So, like, he had a fine outing. It just looks worse than it is. Even Kogashi was fine. And then Floyd and Roland shut it down for the last 2. Flip side, Schaumburg arguably rolled out a more impressive group pitching-wise when you look at it. Cole Cook, Pindell, to Rydell, to White. You would think they would do better.
I love pulling Buddy Pindell on a short rest. Love that.
Yeah. Which he showed up and he balled.
Yes, he did.
He balled.
And they had a good read on when to pull him, too.
Yeah.
That was good feel right there. This was, I thought, a very well-managed series from both sides. I think, again,
Game 4 starters exception.
The pitching decisions in Game 4 were questionable, but like the mid-game, in-game decision-making I thought was really good. And it was like really enjoyable. It was a really good chess match going on between them. It was like based on like matchups, who you want to move. You could see the moment a move is getting made, Quebec is like thinking. Quebec's like, all right, are we switching out a batter? What's the book say? What's the binder's going to say? Like you can see it. And you can see Schaumburg is really calculating too. Yeah, man, it was really enjoyable. It was fun to watch. It was high level. It was just chaotic enough to be like, damn, this is still the indie ball I love. Weird stuff happening with like tough fielding, weird field conditions, things like that. Like, dude, it was fun. Every bit of that was really enjoyable.
The 9th inning was like to a T what you expect to see in indie ball. You have Mike White, who's dealing, he's throwing hard, and they just cannot touch him. Valentin LeBrew go down in order, and you're like, oh, okay, I see how this is going to be. And then they're ahead on Corral, was it 0-2, fights back to 1-2, hit by pitch, and then Gideon triple to dead center, not the guy you're expecting to get a triple, gives him the lead, nothing much more going there. And then Roland comes in after throwing 2 innings the day before and just 1, 2, 3, done.
Yeah, and wasn't it the 7th? I think it was in the 7th inning of this game where they dropped the small ball inning. Quebec. I think it was the 7th.
Yes, it was.
It was the DeFreitas leads off with a single. Valentin comes up, drops a bunt down to move him. He ends up getting a first, and they must have been like, we see something here. LeBrew, who had a really rough series, a really rough playoff, honestly, compared to what we can normally expect from him, then immediately throws a bunt down himself. It gets on, bases loaded, nobody out, just like that. Like, welcome to the party. And then crowd pops out, but then Gideon works a walk, and they're in business. Like, I mean, really, it was when we talk about how like Quebec just finds ways to be. It was the most. I was thinking about it earlier. I think we said it last week on the podcast. So like that aged so well. Let's go.
Justin Gideon is such a 16-game player, man.
Dude, it's so funny. What are we doing? Why are we like this? He lives
for September, man. He lives for September.
11 games, 15 for 42. That's a 357. 5 doubles, a triple, 2 homers, 14 ribbies in 11 games, 5 walks, 8 to 8 Ks. Of course. Why would it not be the case? Why would we not be doing that?
Which, can we just say, walking in the game tying run is such a brutal outcome.
Yeah, you don't love that.
But conversely, though, getting out of a bases loaded, no out jam with only one run against really isn't that bad. It just sucks that the run wasn't like, I wouldn't say it wasn't earned, because working a count to get a walk in that situation is earning it.
Yeah.
But from a pitcher perspective, you're like, they didn't earn that. I didn't make my pitch. If I would have made my pitches.
Yeah. So from yours, I agree. Yeah. I mean, I'm a believer in walks are earned, but I do understand from the pitching perspective being like, oh, seriously?
Yeah.
Didn't even make them beat me.
Exactly. Yeah. So like in it, especially the guys that were coming up in that order there. I mean, like bases loaded going to like the guys, your two best hitters, and only a walk burning you for one. It's genuinely great to get out of it.
Yeah, I'm with you.
It's so tough, that situation. It's one where you're just like, as a pitcher, it grinds you.
No, I'm with you there.
Both Calarcos, dangerous as hell.
Yeah. I mean, proved accurate.
Yeah, so that was like there. Also,
yeah, dude, what was their combined? I'm sorry, I'm like, what was their combined stat line on the playoffs? Good.
Also, Banks Tolley, dude, that really shot on the scene in this series for me. I mean, like, I know he had a good season, but like, I didn't realize how good of a ball player he was until watching this postseason run. Really good ball player.
Oh yeah. He I mean, finds basically on base, not a lot of pop, but like collects his homers, and he's enough where you can't. What I've seen, at least from him, is it seems like the kind of guy where he gets home run every couple of weeks. It feels like, which is just enough where you can't have a comfortable at bat with him. You know, so like Schaumburg tends to keep him sort of, middle to bottom middle of that lineup. And you want, after getting through the middle of the lineup, especially with an offense like Schaumburg, to like, get a little bit of a roll going. Maybe you have guys on base already. You love just make sure you're throwing strikes. And if you just let it drift to middle, he will absolutely punish it. So you have to, like, again, another difficult at bat. It's, the number of walks over the course of the year, I forget what like the walks average was for the whole league, but I think he was a little lower than I remember actually. But I guess I just saw him walk a lot for whatever reason. That happens. But yeah, I mean, the power showed up for the playoffs for sure. By the way,
that and also he's steady in the outfield, very steady.
Yeah,
fielder.
Which is huge.
So you can trust him in that lineup as a complete player. Yeah, I don't want to go too much into the long-term view on both of these. I mean, you could go ahead and say like, Quebec again is like outclassing this league, and it gotta be frustrating to be here with them and just know like this is just our reality. Even though LeBrew and Kiriana both retired, they won it and pieced out. Which, I mean, hey, they've conquered the mountain how many times? But even still, the machine seems like it's going to run just fine.
Yeah, so, and without, again, we'll have flame time. We'll do sort of league focused stuff once all the series are over. But the thing is, you look at the run that Quebec has been on, and you think, well, I mean, they almost lost it this time around, like pushed to the brink. But they've been pushed to the brink before, and they came back and did the damn thing with authority the next time around. So what does it mean, man? Does it mean anything? Well, I loved your one tweet, which was like, what was it? The ride never ends.
Yeah.
It's so true. It is like you can form this league into any shape you want. You can make the playoffs whatever the format you want. You can give a 2-game head start to whoever you want, but it will cost you to get there, and Quebec is coming for you. Like, you can't get a 2-1 series lead without showing them your best, and now they've seen it, and they're a nightmare. Like, it is the boogeyman. It is the end of the horror movie where you think they're dead and then bang, the hand comes up. Like, it is just they alone make me think we're not being hard enough on Canada as the source of terror. We keep on the Middle East. Canada's right there. Last year, how many games did that playoff go?
4.
I went 4? Okay, that makes sense.
The ride never ends.
Well, good luck with your Groundhog Day Hellscape Frontier League. We'll see how you're doing later in the offseason. We'll check back in with you.
Speaking of hellscapes, how about that Pioneer League?
Good Lord, dude. Idaho Falls, you had it in your claws, my chuckers. What are we doing? Yes, I said my chuckers. Keep it in the pod. Keep it in the pod. Oh, man. Anyway, the series. Crazy. Yeah. So
in the first two, and we thought Oakland was down, and then, well, Oakland was not, in fact, down.
Oakland committed a murder, dude. That was
those happened.
Brutal. Look, no comment. But Idaho Falls offense proved in that game too that they were still electric. And then what we learned, I think, is twofold, which is the Oakland pitching is really, really good. And two, Idaho Falls is more hitter friendly than we thought, and Oakland is potentially more pitcher friendly than we thought, but Oakland was scoring runs still in Oakland. Now, I will say I think Oakland's offense may be built a little bit for that ballpark, but that Oakland pitching staff is really good. And the bounce back thing of it too was the game where they gave up a bunch of runs. Idaho Falls dropped those runs on Milliken's head, and then Milliken bounced back and had a couple good innings in game 5. So I think it came full circle. I think we can say Oakland's pitching is really good outside of a weird game 2. And this is the one where I counter argue with you on. I've come around begrudgingly to your opinion that pitching does not win championships in indie ball. I think the exception is the Pioneer League. And I think the reason is everybody can hit in these weird circumstances. It's short fields, it's altitude, it's lack of depth on the pitching side, all that, but it's hard to make it count if you have enough depth full of guys who will miss bats and not let you make clean contact. Like, that altitude is great. Your bat to ball skills are all good until you meet a guy who's just a little bit nastier than the rest of the league. And I think that's what Oakland's bringing to the table, man. I think we saw it. Yeah,
Oakland's a better team than I think we previously thought.
I mean, they had 14 Ks in that last game. Like, yeah, ew. Those batters had families, and they were watching. It was a championship game.
That's the thing. Like, the fact that, honestly, the game 1 pitching performance is what really showed me that this is a really, beyond a really, really good pitching staff. It is one of the better pitching staffs in indie ball, I think, because you go to these difficult environments, and realistically, they had one bad game this whole series.
Yeah, in 5 Pioneer League games, they had one bad one, and that's what they were doing all year. By the way, they were having about one bad outing a week.
Yeah, it's just that this happened on a bigger scale, right?
Mm-hmm. At a bad time.
Exactly. So you go ahead and you show that off, and they showed off the offense too. They really are a complete team when you want to get down to it.
Mm-hmm.
And like, we talk a lot about it's really hard to gauge the Pioneer League teams because the disparity between the average Pioneer League team and the average anybody else is just so far apart that when you're good, it's really hard to say, are you a good team or are you just really good at kicking the piss out of other bad teams?
Mm-hmm.
And that was really our debate all season long. And why we got flack for not ranking Oakland was always look how good they are. And then we'd always go put them in the frontier, and where's that going to do? And you look at the championship performance here, you go down 0-2, right? And you fight back to win 3 straight. You never allow, we're going to remove game 2 because it's the outlier. 5 runs in a Pioneer League game is nothing. So,
I mean, we saw it even go back to the round before.
Yeah. And you go ahead and you look at that, and it really does make me think about, the overall body of work.
I mean, yeah, and we talk about who are you beating? What does it mean? Okay, let's do the best one-to-one comparison here. If you remove Yuba's games, Yuba went 50-46. If you remove their games against Oakland, they're 47 wins and 33 losses. That is, I mean, they went a team that was roughly nearly a 600. The math wasn't perfect. Roughly a 600 team the rest of the year. They went 13-3 against. I mean, And that's when they turned it up because they keyed in for that Yuba series. Dude, 73-23. It is to say they're the best Pioneer League team of all time, like since the Indie Ball transition, is understatement. I'll give them that. I question again, would they crack a top 10? Not in my book, but I do think it's interesting to see I would love to see how they would do against Frontier League team. I saw them talking that talk on Twitter. Not realistic. Unfortunately, Pioneer League teams, I don't think necessarily understand some of the things that happen in the Frontier and the American. Like, dudes are playing winter and fall ball, buddy. Like, they're gone. This isn't. Yeah, they're not hanging.
Logistics
they're not in Arizona.
There. That being said, if Oakland's able to make that happen, the amount of water I will carry for that organization is not going to be.
They'll have won me baback. And let's not say never. I mean, they did make the San Jose thing. I think there's other stuff going on back there. I think there's other. There's some like back alley conversations happening on that one. Like, but I think, sure, whatever makes it work. I could see them trying to set something up for preseason. But the only problem is their preseason is a month and everyone else's season. It feels like maybe 2 weeks depending on the league. Anyway, to the point, Oakland. It's so funny to talk about them dominating a series when they won it in Game 5. But like realistically, we learned more about Oakland than we did Idaho Falls. We learned Idaho Falls can ball. We learned offense is for real. They showed it. I simultaneously. It's funny, they put up that performance against Idaho Falls, and I'm like, I don't think less of Idaho Falls whatsoever. I think more of Oakland, which is something that we've said about and this is Oakland, this is where you deserve it, because the whole year Oakland's pummeled some team and put up numbers and won, 15 out of 16 or whatever the hell. We go, what did we learn? We learned we think less of the teams that Oakland just played. We think less of Yuba. And now we're here, and this is the moment where I go, nope. Like, I learned a hell of a lot about Oakland in the series. They're the real deal. They're the best of the Pioneer League, 100%. I got nothing else for that.
That's really it. It's a really well put together team. And honestly, as an organization as a whole, because I did have some people send me videos and whatnot, the atmosphere around there, it was genuinely electric. And we've talked a lot of shit about how, like, you built your whole brand off of we're not the A's, like how much we hate the A's and John Fisher, and how that's kind of, lame. Mm-hmm. But shit, it works for the market. So if it's working for the market, then I guess it works, and I guess it's a good decision. How many other places would you get a sellout in a glorified city park on a Sunday night for a minor league ball game and have that kind of electric atmosphere, have people stay the whole way, and realistically be able to have a championship parade that will likely have a good turnout?
Right. I mean, let's make no bones about it. There are some fantastic fan bases in indie ball. Quebec was extremely impressive. Schaumburg had a good crowd going. Yeah. In the American, I was really impressed with some of the numbers in the early series game, like the early games in the series, the ones where they had some time to sell it.
Yeah.
But Oakland's the best fan base in indie ball. I don't think there's any argument.
I still put Quebec ahead of them, but I think Oakland's up there, certainly.
The counter I would make, and I will also counter my counter, so one moment. The counter I would make is, if you're a baseball fan in Quebec, you got one spot to go. There's more stuff to compete with entertainment-wise in Oakland, but also they are able to ride the anti-A's energy. I think a minor league team is likely to come to Oakland at some point here, and we will learn a lot. However, I would not put it past the ownership of this Ballers team to be owning that minor league team, or to even have the Ballers be that minor league team. That is purely conspiracy tinfoil hat. I have nothing on that, but it's just reading the room and reading whose names seem to come up in conversations when I talk to people.
All right. Anything else on the Pioneer League, or do you want to go right to the...
Nah, and again, if you want more talk about your league, it's tough because 3 championships happened this week and another one's still happening. But we will be revisiting everybody for a good sort of rounding things up. And I'll be doing something on my channel too. So we'll be able to really beat it to death.
Yeah, October is our kind of like, let's wrap up the year month. And then November is when we start getting into the real off season. The sickos know what that's all about.
Real ball has no ball being played at all.
Real ball is saying, this is how I'd build a team in Ocean City, Maryland.
Oh, we need to see, by the way, how we did. I'll run those numbers, how we did with our fantasy or our expansion draft teams.
Oh, phenomenal. Deep cut right there. Atlantic League. We'll look at the first round, then we'll do a championship preview. We had Lancaster and York. We had Gastonia and High Point, which are very nice rivalry matchups, certainly there. We'll get to the least interesting series, I think, which is the 3-game one, Lancaster and York. 6-2 York, 4-3 York, 6-3 York. I will defer to you on a lot of this because I will be honest, I'm a little out of touch when it comes to the Atlantic League, as seen by my bracket for the Atlantic League.
Yes. One moment.
And with how high I was riding on Lancaster, which clearly did not end well, despite them having leads and just blowing them repeatedly.
I'll give some justification further to why I confidently chose against Lancaster. I didn't put out my game-by-game predictions, of course, for this one league, but I predicted a York sweep. I predicted High Point in 5, though I did actually flip 2 of the game results. So tough one, almost there. Maybe I'll post a picture of my sketchily made spreadsheet with a date of when I did it. But I will say the reason I doubted Lancaster, despite the hot finish, was what York did to them last year. Seeing York get it done last year, it made me go, oh, so it's not just about how this finishes. It took 4 games last year. York looked comfortable. I didn't really see it for Lancaster this year. I felt like they had made some the improvement. There are years where it's like, wow, Lancaster cooked improving this team. They improved as the year went on. They got some of their usual suspects back, but I thought the additions they made during the year spoke more to the rest of the league falling off. Staten Island sort of running out of transactions to make, Hagerstown existing, the Ducks fell off toward the end there. I just think that was a big part of it and what happened. So that's my logic there. And I think that we saw a lot of the difference between the two teams throughout the series. York obviously gets the sweep. It wasn't a blowout, which I think is also about right, because I think the difference between Lancaster and York is largely the little things. But yeah, so game 1, I actually wasn't there because that was the game I ended up staying home because I wanted to watch the 3 championship games tonight. Game 1, so all 3 games, by the way, just buckle up for it if you didn't know. Lancaster gets an early and blows it. They went up 2-0 in game 1. Noah Skiro was dealing. He finally got caught in the 5th inning, but he was looking really good. That was impressive. Chris Valamont struggled a little bit, but settled back in. That was sort of the story of it. I wouldn't have brought Noah Skiro out for a 6th inning. I think he had thrown like 80, 90 pitches at that point. It was ill-advised because he was cruising through 5, but I understand because he was cruising through 5 why you bring him back. With that, it basically went down to so York, and I mentioned earlier that I find a lot of Quebec in York, and I think Rick Forney has a very good system. He knows the guys he likes. He knows the roles they need to play, and he thinks about the playoff run early. And they did the thing that we talked about Quebec doing a great deal. So they bring out Skiro again for the 6th inning, right? Kyle Martin doubles on him, and then there's a wild pitch and a hit batter. There was a guy getting warm when Kyle Martin hits the double on the, I think, 5th or 6th pitch of the inning. By the time it's like, okay, we need to get him hot because we're going to have trouble here. The wild pitch hit batter already happened, and now you're in trouble, right? Now you're on 1st and 3rd. You got Shane Fontana up. He gets hit by a pitch to start it, bases loaded, and then from there it's on. And they end up dropping a 6th spot on them in the 6th inning because by the time you realize that Sullivan isn't the option, you're like, okay, maybe I can throw Jackson Reese at this problem. He has had some moments of success, but like I thought that was a reach. He didn't have it either, so they ended up making 3 pitching changes throughout that one. But I landed on Phil Deal. Phil Deal is good, but he still got tagged with some inherited runners. It was that game 1 was when I was like, oh, York is set, because this is the team I thought York was. I just hadn't had the proof yet, and they delivered it. The bullpen absolutely shut them down and cruised. Yeah, that I couldn't speak highly enough of that first game. It was the most dominant performance in my mind. Game 2, it was 3-0 Lancaster early, and then it took a while for the offense to get going. Say what you will. I mean, Lancaster's starting pitching was really going. Bremer threw 11 Ks in 6 1/3. But yeah, after Valverde, I guess it was, gave up 3 runs, 2 in the first, 1 in the fifth. Lancaster couldn't put anything on the board. Went to the 8th inning. It was 3-0 still. And then it was the reckoning once they got to the 8th inning. And York ended up hanging 2 in the 8th and walked it off in the 9th. Who was that on now? That game, the walk-off was Jeremy Rocho, which actually wouldn't be the guy that I sort of thought would do it. But also, talk about pulling the right strings. Jalen Davis comes in as a late pinch hitter. I think came in. He didn't pinch it. He actually came in as a defensive substitution and then ripped the 9th inning home run to lead off the 9th. And that was sort of when I was like, I think Lancaster might be cooked here. And Lancaster was cooked because now what was fun was at Lancaster, they went up 3-0 in game 3. And I went, Lancaster's cooked here. And people were like, you shut your mouth. They're up 3-0. They're going to cruise. I was like, I need you to see Expeditions A and B from the prior nights. And yeah, they were cooked. York puts up 3 straight home runs, 1 the 4th, 1 the 5th, 1 the 6th. 2 of them, Kyle Martin home runs. He is a menace to society. And then, from there, it was a matter of getting into the late innings to really break hearts. And then they did it in the 8th with 3 spot. And 6-3 is the way that one goes. Bullpen shut them down again. The bullpens for York went 10 1/3 scoreless out of their bullpen against a team that's fairly familiar with them.
Can I just say, Kyle Martin's had one hell of a year.
Dude, Kyle Martin's so good. He's so big, by the way. I was near the dugout for one of these games, and both Jackie and myself were like, that's a big dude. Like, when she goes, wow, like she's only half checked in any game. Love that for her. And she like fully snapped to it, was like, that guy's jersey doesn't fit. Like, not a little guy.
He's the big boy circus.
He is. Yeah, man. He wasn't here for a long time this season, but he was here for a good time. I'll tell you that much. What was it? How many home runs did he hit in this series? Was it 3? It was 3. But like, if we just look at what he did, I mean, 31 a year, but damn, how many did he play? I had it right in front of me.
2 in the series.
2.
He had 2.
So he's up to 4 home runs in 12 games. That's one way to ingratiate yourself.
He had 4 hits, 2 home runs.
And he's not in Cleburne. Which is like, after the way that ended, it's probably a little nice. Yeah, York remains my pick for a champion here.
They did look very impressive. And honestly, you look at the Gastonia High Point series, and it's not quite as impressive here. It's more and more of a back and forth type of series. Yep. Gastonia jumps out to the early 1-0 lead. High Point tags him for 2. Gastonia ties it up, and then High Point has their way with him in game 5. Again, did not follow the series all that much because I've largely checked out the Atlantic League for some time now, to be quite honest with you.
That's kind of crazy. Good ball this year, man.
I'm way more locked in on the American Association Frontier League. I don't know why it is. It's just like I'm just far more locked in on that.
Interesting. I don't know. For me, what I take away from this was we had the feeling that Gastonia could compete with High Point. This sounds bad, and I'm going to take heat for this. We had the theory the whole year that maybe Gastonia is good, and I think they definitely improved in the second half. But we really came around to the idea over the last month that maybe they're good, but not like they are benefiting from the division.
Oh, I said they were a bad team all year.
I think they're a good team. I think they're a good team.
I'll stand on they're an overrated team that wasn't very good. And that was the beneficiary of a shitty schedule.
They were an overrated team. I think they did certainly improve as the year went on. They had injuries and some weird stuff happened at the beginning of the year, and then they did a better job to put it together as it went. I was impressed with that. I'm not going to say that they're a bad team at all. But I do think they were not. I think of the 4 playoff teams, they were probably the worst, though Lancaster is also getting a little too much credit in that conversation. But I think High Point, I went in thinking High Point could be the best, potentially with York. 5 games between Gastonia and High Point. We talk about with Oakland, how I was like, oh, I learned more about Oakland in the series. It didn't change my opinion much of Gastonia. It reduced my opinion slightly of High Point. And as with an understanding that High Point is taking on a team that has the book on them like no other team does. And that's a struggle every time. but I am concerned for this High Point team going into the York series. I don't know. I think York's bullpen is good, but again, we just saw how good York's is. I think High Point slightly lacks some starting pitching. Delbonta Smith is obviously very good. He was dealing game 5, but he looked shaky in game 1. Ullman isn't a guy I typically think of as like, yeah, he's gonna eat this up. And I think if they throw him early in the series, which I'm tempted to think they are the way things line up, I think they could run into a bit of an issue with that short porch in York. I think he could get tagged. I don't know. I'm coming out of this. I originally felt York in 4. I still think that over High Point, but I think it's going to be tough. I mean, look at Gastonia. It was just like it was working out, but it makes sense that they struggled. Zach Westcott has been off and on for a while now. Craig Stem is on a sort of, a retirement tour, out of retirement tour thing. Yeah, I'm just not overly blown away by them getting the win here. That's all. I think Gastonia was spread so thin by that last game. Them getting hit was not a surprise. And I think that was unfortunate. And I don't want to be super negative. I like Gastonia. I think Gastonia will be back. I think they were on the wrong end of some injuries and some signings this year. I'm more confident Gastonia having a bounce back year than probably any other team in Indy ball. And bounce back. They still made the playoffs for the 4 straight years. So I can shut up. It's fine. But yeah.
I mean, I would agree with the bounce back to the standard we expect from them. I still don't believe in the overall team that they were. I think the first half of what they were was more true to form there. That, of course, all said, I do think my opinion of High Point dropped off a bit. It was kind of a series I thought High Point would roll through, even with their, hash struggles, we call them. So I am concerned about that going to the next round. It feels like one team's on an upward trajectory and the other team is not. So,
yeah, and for me, I had them in 5, but the way I kind of saw it playing out was more, one of the series where where one team blows out the other in wins and the other team scraps to get wins. Which by the end, that kind of was the energy. I expected more of the High Point wins to look like the Game 5 win. I guess that was all. But yeah. Anyway. That's my thought on that. Looking at York
High Point as a series, it starts tonight if you're listening on day of release. And then we got another one on Sunday. And then we wrap this thing up Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Of course, those last 2 days, if necessary, it's a best of 5 series. So, general outlook on this one.
I still predict York in 4. I think High Point might take one at home. I don't see a sweep happening again. Mainly because High Point's been swept, and I mean, if High Point gets swept again in a championship series, there's going to be a conversation like, boys, still don't have a championship game win, because I believe they were swept in their first one. Yeah, I think that's something for sure. I don't know. I won't go too deep into it, but yeah, I got York. I was impressed by them. They're relentless. They're really hard. You cannot make mistakes against them. I see a lot of Quebec there, and I think with that. York in 4. I would not be surprised if it goes to 5. I would not be surprised if York sweeps it, though. I would be surprised if High Point wins. That would be the surprise for me.
All right. I'll go York in 4. High Point will take 1, but I don't think we'll get a full sweep. Also, it'd be nice to get October baseball.
Yeah, baby. So. My last note would be a rumor around.
Rumor mill. For those that stuck around the whole time.
A little treat for you because you hung around. We'll have a new manager in Cleburne this year. Don't know who it will be, but the Pete Incaviglia stories are wild, buddy.
Does Cleburne know that they're going to be getting a new manager this year?
Oh, I believe they do. I believe Pete does. It sounds as if this was expected based on some of the things I'm hearing. Rumors of if he was unhappy with the result of a game at least once or twice, just buses leaving, boys. Get on or get yourself home type energy.
Running shoes.
And it seems that at least on one occasion, it allegedly rumored, perhaps that wasn't fast enough for him because he left a game. He dipped out of the dugout in a late season game early during the game. And at the end of the game, they called him up And apparently it was something along the lines of, "Hey, Pete, where are you?" Man was at the airport already. If that's true, that is some of the most Pete Incaviglia work we've seen. That's something else, man.
Pete is a character.
But here's the thing, and Pete is a character, and Pete can be a really nice guy from all I hear in my couple interactions with him. It's just that
Should I call Pete and ask?
I think guys like Pete are interesting and good for indie ball when it's done right. And he's been bumped. He's kind of worn out his welcome with the Frontier and the American and the Atlantic. And now, like Cleburne, he's a Texas guy. This should be
it. But
should work.
It happened in Fort Worth, though.
I know. It's like, dude, if you can't make Texas work on 2 different occasions, I don't know what to do for you. Maybe you're not into it right now. But yeah, that's what I got.
I can't wait for Pete Incaviglia to bring order and honor to Hinchcliffe Stadium next season.
No, are you kidding me? Welcome to the Pioneer League, Pete.
Pioneer Pete, the pride of Long Beach, California.
Yuba Sutter, buddy. You like Marysville, my guy?
That's not very Canadian the way you did that.
Yeah, all right. Thank you. I'm trying to ingratiate myself again.
Trying to accept the customs of the locals.
Right.
Got any
the dog barking in the background. The dog barking in the background means I got to wrap up here, my guy. So I'll let you do your thing.
We'll get to some plays and we'll get out of here. Last week of baseball, enjoy that. At Indie Ball Pod on Twitter, Indie Ball Report everywhere else. We'll have 3 season wrap-up videos coming out in fairly short order. Actually 4, depending on when the Atlantic League wraps themselves up. So keep a watchful eye on that. Your plugs, if you want them.
Yeah, Indie Ball Nation, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube should have stuff going soon with awards and all that, as there's chaos in the background. And yeah, catch me at the Reality Comedy Festival. Yeah.
Hell yeah. You going on before or after Burr?
Probably before. I'm sure he's gonna like helicopter in on something he's flying and then go from there. Unless I get booted like Tim Dillon did.
Okay. But you're gonna stick around like Louis.
He wasn't saying anything else about this. He wasn't saying anything bad about having slaves. He was just saying it's not for him, but I'm sure they're proud of what they've built. Why are they so mad about that?
They're not slaves, they're indentured servants. Please,
sure.
There's a difference.
Can they leave?
Well, they're indentured. They cannot leave until the debt's paid.
Will the debt be paid?
Oh my god.
They can no longer work.
Depends. Are they able-bodied?
Well, I don't know how to say it, but hello to my friends in Saudi Arabia.
And until next time, don't forget to play ball.